is Jay. And maybe let's just start with a few comments in the chat. Love to see who's here, who's in the room, where you're from, maybe how you're feeling this morning, anything like that. My name's Jay. I'm feeling like I'm a little bit in recovery this morning because my little 1-year-old had a fever all weekend, which is a scary time to be sick. So thankfully he seems to be okay. So just still recovering and reeling from that. In case you don't know, these live streams are put on by Healthy Minds Innovations, which is an organization paired with the Center for Healthy Minds, which is a leading research laboratory in the neuroscience of emotion and mindfulness. And Healthy Minds Innovations is a nonprofit aiming to translate that science into tools for well-being, such as this live stream. It's been really enjoyable. And a special welcome to those who are joining us for the first time. This week's theme is purpose. And I know that feeling that some of you probably have when you hear that sense of purpose. It feels like a big, heady topic. It feels a little intimidating. And often we feel a little bit of guilt, this sense of, oh, I don't know if I have a purpose, or I don't know if I've found my purpose, or especially in the midst of a situation like this, I don't know if purpose is even relevant. And so what we're going to sort of explore here is not some esoteric, grandiose, big sense of purpose that's somewhere out there that we need to find, and we need to find our passion, and then everything will fall into place. Some of that self-helpy stuff can be really inspiring if you're in a good place, but it can also be really paralyzing if you're in a tough place. The science on purpose's role in well-being is actually really interesting. So unlike some of the other pillars of well-being that we've been discussing, awareness, connection, and insight, a lot of the science around purpose is not about purpose-related practices, but more about those who live with a sense of purpose, those who live with a calling or a sense of direction, and that those people tend to have higher well-being. So that's really interesting, especially when you consider that in those studies, the sense of purpose that people report having isn't always a belief in a higher power or some grandiose career mission. Often those people show the same elevated sense of well-being when their purpose is to take care of their family or to stay healthy, or some of these sort of more mundane, everyday aspects of life. And that's what we're going to explore in today's practice. We're going to use the power of human curiosity to explore purpose directly as it is already in your life, and not trying to sort of pursue it somewhere else. So when you're ready, find yourself a comfortable position, seated, upright, but relaxed. I tend to like to sort of stretch upward and then drop my shoulders, release my jaw. Whoa. Settle into the gravity that's pulling us, set into the chair, into the cushion, wherever you might be sitting. If you're not able to sit upright, feel free to lie down, but try to stay awake, so not to be too comfortable that you might end up drowsy. And before we dive in, let's just take a moment to do nothing at all and just really take a break, take this moment to slow down and let go and just arrive fully here for this practice together. Just letting it all settle. If it's morning where you are, then letting the events of the morning settle, letting all the thoughts about what's coming up for the day settle. If you're watching a recording of this later, or if where you are it's not morning, just whatever was preceding this session, just take this time to let that all settle to the bottom of your snow globe so that you can get some clarity before we dive in. If it helps, you can take deep breaths if that's something that relaxes you. And just letting that river of thoughts flow by, whether it's a calm, still stream or whether it's a crashing river. Just let it flow by. Watch it come, watch it go. Whatever's here is okay. Feel free to close your eyes if you haven't already, and if that's something that feels comfortable to you. And if you notice any tension in the body, any particular emotions welling up, holding in your shoulders or in your belly or anywhere else, just let it be as it is, and maybe gently try to release, bring your awareness to that sensation and just let it go. Just really taking this moment to settle in. No need to rush anywhere. Whenever you're ready, I'm going to ask you first to bring to mind a situation or an activity that's a regular part of your life, kind of like a mundane activity. Could be a chore, or folding the laundry, or cooking, or brushing your teeth, or changing diapers, or whatever it might be. Um, just bring something to mind that you generally kind of try to rush through, but you have to do it. It's a regular part of your life, um, and something that feels maybe ripe for investigation. So I'll give you a few moments to think of something now. It's something that's part of your routine. It's not something maybe you've thought too much about, but it is something you spend a lot of time doing, or you do very often or very frequently as a part of your daily life. And if you're still looking for something, go ahead and keep looking. But whenever you've found one, what we're going to do is we're going to ask the question why about this activity several times. So let's say your activity is brushing your teeth. So the first question you'll ask yourself, this is kind of an analytical meditation. So the first question, well, why do I brush my teeth? You don't have to think too hard. Just notice what answer comes up when you ask that question to yourself. Why do I brush my teeth? So do the same for your activity. Why do you do that activity? Whenever you notice a clear answer come up, don't accept that answer at face value. Ask why again. So if I brush my teeth because I want to keep my teeth clean, the next question would be, why do I want to keep my teeth clean? And keep going like this until you've got at least, 3, maybe 5, maybe even 7 layers deep on this simple mundane activity. So I'll give you some time to do that. So start with your activity, ask why, and whatever answer naturally seems to come up, ask why again. And whatever answer comes up, ask why again. And see where it takes you. This is just kind of a playful experimentation. You don't need to take it too seriously. Let's just see where it goes. Sometimes the answers might readily and immediately appear. Sometimes it might take some time, which is totally okay. Just keep asking the question and give your mind a minute to come up with an answer. Don't need to force it. Just keep asking that question, why? The sense of open curiosity. See what comes up. It's not uncommon for this to get pretty deep pretty quickly. So, for example, in my brushing teeth example, well, why do I brush my teeth? Because I want to keep my teeth clean. Well, why do I want to keep my teeth clean? Because I want to be healthy. And why do I want to be healthy? Because I want to be here to take care of my family and because I'm grateful to be alive. So, the underlying motivation or purpose underneath a mundane activity that I do every single day, like brush my teeth, can be quite deep. So that something like that may or may not be coming up for you. That's perfectly okay. But I'll give you a few more moments here to just keep asking why and really exploring the territory. And if it feels like you've already gotten to the deepest point, just sort of bask in that and really explore that causality, that deeper motivation, and how it relates to the mundane activity you're working with. And whenever you're ready, transition to just imagining what it would be like to bring that deeper motivation fully present to mind when you're actually doing that mundane activity. So, what would it be like for me, for example, to really bring that deeper motivation to take care of my family and that gratitude to be alive to mind every time I brush my teeth? That sense of purpose. What would it be like to wear that sense of purpose on my sleeve as I brush my teeth, to have it be present there? How would that change the way the activity feels? How might it change the way I approach that activity or how I do it? I might do it exactly the same but feel differently, or I might actually, slow down and take my time brushing my teeth. I might bring a different sense of care to that activity. So see if you can explore how your activity might feel different or how you might approach it differently if you brought that deeper motivation to mind every time you did it. It's okay if this feels forced or awkward. We're just exploring, especially if you're new to this kind of analytical meditation. Just give it a try, see what comes up. So if you're getting really good momentum here, feel free to continue on with this particular activity. If you're ready, you can let go of that and switch to a new activity. So you might want to choose a different mundane activity, a different part of your life. And I encourage you to mix it up. So if you chose something related to your personal life, like folding the laundry, maybe this time try something from your professional life, like maybe you analyze data or there's some aspect of your job that you can explore, or maybe something related to a hobby or a craft, like playing music or painting or anything like that. So pick a new activity to explore. I'll give you some time to do that now. And keep looking if you don't have one yet. Whenever you're ready, you know the drill. Why? Ask why. Why do you do that activity? And whatever answer comes up, give it a second to breathe and then ask why about that answer. Keep asking why as you ride the turtles all the way down to the deeper motivations behind this activity that is a part of your life. If you find it hard to stay connected with this activity or stay focused on it, that's perfectly normal. I find it can be helpful to visualize the activity as you do this. It gives your mind something to chew on. So, you know, visualize myself brushing my teeth as I ask why. Why do I do this? And go down the layers of why. And why being the word that embodies human curiosity. So it sort of behooves you to bring a deep sense of curiosity to this, that this isn't a serious ordeal. This isn't a life or death situation. We're just exploring and experimenting with a sense of openness, just to see what comes up when we run this little experiment on our own minds. Keep asking why. And at your own pace, whenever you feel like you've gotten to a sufficient level of depth, transition to start imagining what it would be like to do this activity with that deeper sense of motivation present. How would that change the way you do the activity? How would you change the way it feels to do that activity? How might it change the way you interact with other people if other people are involved in that activity? So really taking what you've learned from this keep asking why exercise and applying it to the activity itself and seeing how that might reframe things for you. Okay, whenever you're ready, drop in the reflection and let's just take a moment to settle into the breathing or body sensations or whatever's comfortable for you. For find a little rest. I know that kind of meditation can be hard work sometimes. So just taking a little rest before we move on. Okay, so feel free to take a breath or stretch or whatever your body needs. I'm feeling a bit in my shoulders here, so I'm just gonna stretch out a bit. So I'd love if you have any thoughts or reflections, I'd love for you to share them in the chat a little bit about what you noticed during this practice, if you're willing to share the activities you worked with and maybe what the deeper sense of purpose you found, if there was anything surprising, anything unexpected that arose, or even if not, if it was just kind of like a routine activity, it's already a part of your life. To think in this way, that would be very interesting to hear as well. So feel free to share in the chat. And in the meantime, just a word about what we did. Um, often we'll find these messages, especially in modern media and society, and it's actually very prevalent during this pandemic, where everyone to your left and to your right is telling you that this is the time to write a book. This is the time to really excel in your career. And a lot of us are just trying to hold on at this point, covered with a lot of anxiety and fear about what's going on in the world, and of course our own personal situations, whether health or economic or work situations, being on the front lines, whatever it might be. And it's really important to remember that when we talk about purpose, we're not talking about this huge sense of like, once you find your passion, you drive towards that passion and everything else will make sense. Life, I wish it was that simple, but it's not that simple. We have many different motivations, many different pieces of inspiration, many different senses of purpose. But I think the underlying theme that we're starting to see emerge from the science, and definitely something I've felt, is that when you're doing an activity, whether it's a mundane activity like the ones we talked about, or whether it's a peak experience or performing or on the job, or whether it's a very challenging situation, if we can find our own way to stay connected with the deeper motivations, the deeper picture of why we're doing that, the why can be so powerful to open us up. And as Jason just mentioned, thank you for sharing in the chat, a softening of that activity and bringing a little bit more care and a little bit more space to do those activities. So if you're doing the dishes because you love your family, you're going to take that extra care and that time to do it, and you're probably going to enjoy it. So it's really, I can't stress enough that the purpose is already here in your life, and be very skeptical of the idea that you have to go out somewhere and find it. Certainly there's a role for that in our lives, but especially when we're struggling, but in daily life, I think a great first step, a great powerful exercise is to find the purpose in the things that we're already doing in daily life. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Liz, Jason, Jess, David. David sharing quite overwhelming, but also eventually grounding. Yeah, that's very typical. Thank you for sharing that. There's this sense of, I mentioned at the beginning, just even the concept of purpose can be very like guilting and very intimidating, but actually working with it and processing it in this sort of regular everyday life, which is why I chose to start with the mundane activity here, that can be really grounding for me when I just remember that the purpose behind cleaning my office can actually be quite deep. So thank you so much. We've got meditations happening all week. Tomorrow, the founder of Healthy Minds Innovations, Dr. Richie Davidson, is a wonderful human being. He's leading a practice at 11 Eastern, 10 Central, 8 Pacific. We've also got the Healthy Minds at Work app, which is divided into awareness, connection, insight, and purpose. So you can explore these concepts further, and really, really, really appreciate spending time with me. And I encourage you, as you walk away from this stream, to maybe ask a little bit of why you joined this stream. Why did you come here? Why did you take these half an hour out of your day to do this? Why did you, keep asking why? Why are you here? What are you doing this for? Why are you doing this? And you might find a deeper meaning. And hopefully that motivates you to show up next week, and I'll see you then. So thanks a lot. Take care. I hope you're safe and well, and I hope you're finding balance, if not.